Welcome to Life at Your Own World podcast. I'm your host, Will Venus, and today I'm joined by my husband, Jay, again. We've got so much to talk about. First of all, the funeral of Paul O'Grady. It was one of the most thoughtful funerals that I've ever seen. Not that we've seen all of it. We're going to talk about Jay's granddad and what we've been doing for this week, 'cause it's been such a hectic week. So sit back, relax, enjoy, follow the pod, and let's get going, yeah. So, Jay, how are you?
I'm top of the very well, thank you. How are you?
Where did that come from?
I just feel a bit
Tip,
jolly.
say that again?
Top of the I just feel jolly, like I'm just watched many Porridge, which I hasn't. But
Maybe it's uh, cause you just woken up after a granddad nap.
yeah, I know. And I had a
Yeah, we
treat.
both have actually, because we've both been up since 5 a.m. and it's now 6. So you know what? I'm looking at the clock and I sometimes struggle with 24 hours. It's now 10 to 7 at night,
That's GMT, so not GMT, BST actually.
British summertime. Yeah. So the funeral of Paul O'Grady. If you don't know who Paul O'Grady is, he was a British national institution. He was a comedian, a TV presenter, an animal enthusiast, animal protector, and years ago he was a drag queen. His drag alter ego was Lily Savage. He passed away aged 67 a few weeks. Is it a few weeks ago now, Jay?
Yeah,
Yeah, and although we weren't invited to the funeral, why would we be? Which Paul O'Grady didn't know who we were, although he did see us when we went to see him in Miss Hannigan. Check out that episode that I did a few weeks ago. Anyway, it was his funeral, and I saw the photos and videos online. Oh my goodness! I don't know about you, Jay. Did you see the photos and videos?
yeah. Paul is a marvelous was or still is a marvelous man.
Yeah, his legacy will last
Yeah.
forever.
When one thing I want to say is when he first did his TV telly, like his daytime show at 5 o'clock. If you don't know, he did a variety show on like 5 o'clock on Channel 4. Then ITV had guests on, and it was fun.
Yeah, it was like a bit like this morning at tea time.
But much better.
Yeah.
And what he did was he made sure that all the jobs who were going for the crew were put on the job center. So if you're in America,
Did you really?
yeah. So in America, if you're not job centers, like you go where you don't have a job and you get paid to look for jobs, so you can live and find a job. He made sure that people have a break like him, because he's done so many jobs. He's done like he used to be a
Right. So
social worker.
we'll get back to that, but
Okay.
I mean, going by the funeral, the scenes that I saw. I mean, his husband was on the what do you call that thing that pulls the? I mean, it was a
Carriage.
horse-drawn carriage, and at the back, of course, was the coffin. And oh god, and in with the coffin and like the what do you call that thing? The cabinet or
The casket.
no, not the casket. That's a coffin. I mean, the thing like the what do you call it? The thing that holds the coffin inside of it. The thing that the horse was drawn.
The carriage.
Yeah, that. Yeah, that's it. The carriage. Inside that was a load of flowers, and then I didn't realise until one of the videos ended it was a wreath, and the wreath was in the shape of one of his dogs that had passed away, Buster, and it had, of course, a wreath is made out of flowers, and the collar it had Buster written on it, and I thought that was one of the most thoughtful things ever. And then beside the guy who was controlling the horse, whatever you call that person, was his husband, and his husband had hold of his little white dog called Conchita.
Yeah, Paul had lots of dogs. He had Conchita, sausage. He's had these goats, these chickens,
Yeah,
pigs,
famous dog called Olga.
owls. Yeah,
And of course, that was really thoughtful as well. It was a private funeral, so we don't know what goes on there, and quite rightly so, because he was quite a private man. And I saw a photo of Paul's daughter Sharon with a young lad who I can only assume was his grandson. Now, when I first saw this photo, I didn't really notice what he had in his arms, and I just thought it was a cardigan or a blanket or something. But no, when I watched another YouTube video and I had captions, it said that I actually took a sharp intake of breath when I saw this, and it said carrying in this person's arms the Lily Savage wig. So I don't know if Paul had put in the plans for his funeral to do that, or his family just took it upon themselves. But he took Lily to his funeral. They had the Lily wig on the wig block at the funeral, and that it was that got me. Because if you're new to this podcast, I'm a lace wig maker, and I'm just obsessed with wigs, and they mean a lot to people, and of course they mean a lot to drag queens, and that says to me that although you had kind of put Lily to rest in the convent for a while, he did still have a fondness for her, and it's a bit like saying thanks for the things that she brought him.
Last time we heard with Lily, she was in Amsterdam working in a cafe.
I thought she was in a convent.
She was, but she was in. After that, she was saying on the radio. He said on the radio show with Malcolm that he was in Amsterdam in a cafe getting raided.
Right. And of course there was the story that when Paul was performing as Lily Savage way back in the 80s or 90s, and the police had raided the place completely kitted out in rubber gloves, and Paul had said, "Oh, you've come to the washing up." Well,
Yeah,
Lily had said that,
this
yeah.
was because they thought they could catch AIDS from them by just touching their hands. Like, no,
Yeah, but
obviously
they
not
didn't know
true.
back then, yeah.
No, but yeah, it happened a lot of times. So
Yeah, but oh, hello, cat. The cats just came to join the podcast.
and the dog's sitting right here as well. So it's
Yeah,
all
it's
good.
a family podcast. We try to keep it as clean as possible, but we're all adults here, and I do tick the explicit button, so you're welcome. Yeah, and so that brings an end to such a life well lived, and I mean, like I said in the previous podcast, Lily was like my first introduction to drag. My mum absolutely adored Paul O'Grady, would never miss any of his tea time shows or any other shows. Read all the books that were out by that point, all of his books. She just absolutely adored him. And so yeah, I'm really gonna miss him in '67. It's so young, isn't it?
Yeah, and mum as well. It's mum's favourite as well.
Yeah, yeah, Jay's mum.
Yeah,
She
like
loved him as well.
from Eyes Down to like the dog show.
Yeah, we've been watching that Eyes Down, starring Paul O'Grady, Sheridan Smith, the guy that's now in Corrie, Tony Maudsley.
Mostly I.
Uh, who plays Christine? I've seen her in
I
various
can't
things.
remember, but it's a great show.
It's so funny, and there's the older lady who is. Oh, she was in EastEnders in the very early '90s. What's her name?
Mary is her.
The character's called Mary, but what's the actress'
I
name?
can't remember.
We'll figure it out and put it in the show notes. But yeah, we spent yesterday, which was his funeral, just watching a lot of his best bits, really, just to cheer us up, because it was a weird day yesterday.
It was, and Ray, he plays Ray Temple, whose
In Eyes
grandmother's
Down.
German, and he's like kind of a wimp, and he's kind of selfish, but he does
Yeah.
care deep down, but he doesn't want to seem like he cares because he wants to keep that image up because he hates his job.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those characters that likes to act hard, but he does have heart.
Yeah, and he's a bingo hall host, so he does the numbers like 88 Two Fat Ladies, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Was that only on for 2 seasons?
It was 14 episodes.
God.
It's a shame because I used to watch that years ago when I was a wee nipper, but I shouldn't have done, but I watched it anyway.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things we watch when we were young that we shouldn't.
Exactly.
I remember watching Bad Girls, and that woman had a brain tumour and thought my mum was going to die the next day.
I watched Bad Girls as well, but anyway.
Yeah, that was a great show. Anyway. Yeah, so that brings an end to an iconic career in life. Yeah. And going on the lines of people that are no longer with us, Jay wanted to talk a little bit about his
great granddad.
His great granddad, so the mic's yours.
Yeah, it's his birthday tomorrow, so he would have been born in 1914, so he would have been 109 tomorrow.
If you say so, my math doesn't math.
Something like that.
The math ain't mathin'.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I know I had him for 10 years, so it sounds like I've had a pet. No, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I do miss him, but he was stubborn. I will put this out here. He was, because I can't deny that. But he was lovely, in his own right. He cared, and he's
Did he influence anything in your life?
Yeah, I think he influenced my TV watching, not football, obviously, but my love of like sitcoms and stuff like Mum did. Mum still does, but yeah, because he loved a lot of the same stuff that I did, like and it's like I miss some, like just sitting there in the chair,
Did he ever tell you stories?
Yeah, I know. Like I know one story was he was in during the war in Dunkirk. He was going over in the boat.
The war in Dunkirk.
Or yeah, he was going over. He offered to go on top of the man the guns.
Was that the what time period was that?
1940s.
1940s.
Yeah,
Okay,
so he
so
did
that's
that.
like the Second World War
Yeah,
time.
and he
Okay.
went up, and he realised he made a stupid mistake. Oh, I'm not doing. I'm going back down. Once he got to Dunkirk, they got told to go back in again, so he really didn't done much. So it's just lucky for him, you know. And when he joined the war, he was a plumber plus roofer, and he went round and said, "No, you have to stay because you're important to the war effort here." So he just went round again and lied, you know. And then yeah, so when he got back,
Yeah, there was a lot of young guys that did that. They lied about their age so they could fight.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then and then when my gran when Nora was born, he got given 24 hours leave, so he was cycling in the snow just to go and see his firstborn, you
Oh.
know. And I don't think he ever got over, you know, he's like his youngest Marlon who passed away when I was a baby.
Yeah.
And you know, and then when he was older, he became a bookie or tough accountant if you're from Hyacinth Land.
Yeah, from
You know,
keeping up appearances.
you know,
The turf accountant.
yeah. So basically, what before it was legal,
The large house. Swimming pool, room for a pony.
because back in the 60s, like 50, you weren't supposed to be it. Like it was illegal to do it until it was legal. So you did it. You did it
Gambling was illegal.
like being a bookie was
A
illegal. So
bookie,
you had to
okay.
do it. You had to do it on the streets and stuff like that. You had to do it on the thing, not on the sly. So he had his own bookie shop, you know, and like one in a couple of bookie shops. Yeah, so he did that, and he always alertly like you may not agree with gambling, but that's what puts food on your table, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been really nice to my mum and my uncle because my late uncle because well you young ones probably don't know, but back in the
You
day,
young ones, you're hardly old yourself.
yeah I know, but
She's 6 years younger than I am.
yeah, but back then there was no benefits, there was no support. So if you
Yeah.
had kids,
It's
you
getting
had
to
to
be
work.
that way now, eh?
Yeah, so basically
Thanks to the Tories.
yeah.
Great.
One day that my mum and my uncle were ill, I think it's chicken pox or something, measles or something. They stayed at my great grandparents' house, just across the road.
Mm-hmm. I
So
love all that, how
yeah,
families used to be kind of closer together
yeah,
in the same neighbourhood. I love that.
yeah.
You don't get that anymore.
No, you don't. But they stayed there and they said to mum and so that and then they moved house. That's my room and so you know they just stayed there because my gran Nora obviously was working busy at the telephone exchange. You know, wait, because back in the day you had to put the prongs in.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because normally nowadays you just phone a number up and it
I'm
calls you.
connecting you now, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what you had to do back then. But anyway, yeah. So she worked there early, so they stayed there.
So
So
we're now talking about your your gran, your nonna. Yeah,
yeah,
not
that's what
not great.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously my mum stayed with my great grandparents. So yeah, so he was a big influence on her, you know, and her uncle became obviously her sort of like brother, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it was nice week, and he really looked after her because she got to go on holiday with him a lot, like to Yugoslavia, which is now Croatia, Slovenia, you know,
Yeah.
and all that Bulgaria, that sort of stuff, you know. And it's nice, and she grew up, and she had a lovely childhood with them both, you know, and she was growing up well, you know. And it's like when he was, yeah, and then you know, I mean, and I think getting to see her get married was one of her highlights, you know. And then obviously when I was born, I think he was just born again because he had someone, you know, to a wee one to look
Yeah.
after, you know. And
Another chance to put
yeah,
right his
yeah,
mistakes,
and
kind
I
of thing.
remember, yeah, Mum was saying once,
That sounds familiar.
yeah, and I remember once, apparently he was going out somewhere, like to the casino, and he said he's coming back at a certain time, and then it comes 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you know, doesn't come 11 o'clock,
Mhm.
and he comes in at 1 o'clock, and Mum says, "Where the hell have you been?" Oh, I forgot where I lived. He was running in the taxi, like trying to figure out where he lived because he forgot because he was that bit too tipsy on what he was having. It's like typical him, you know, doing that. And another story was he was going to he was in Newcastle for the races, but unfortunately got the train the wrong way.
Oh right.
I
Wrong
accidentally,
platform.
yeah. And then Mum said, "What are you doing back so early?" I got the wrong train, and so he just came back, and it's like, you know,
As you
typical.
do.
Yeah, typical him, you know. You know, it's quite funny, you know, and it's like it's these wee things that need to be, you know, written down. And I think if he,
Well, like for a book or something,
yeah, if he, I wish he was still
or
here
a
right now.
podcast.
I wish he could have seen me get married. I know he probably would effing and blinding it trying to get up the stairs at the Charlotte rooms, but you know, I wish you could have been there to see it, or at least a
Yeah.
live stream it, you know, because you know, it's one of these things where it's like you need your family there to see it. You know, it's a nice occasion, and I think you'd have been happy, you know. I think he'd been happy with you because you love Hope and Lovers so much, and he would have watched it with and Birds and all that.
Yeah.
He loved all these his sitcoms and all that sort of stuff. It gets to the point where he gets so hyper about a program, he gets so panicky if he misses it or it's coming on. It's like
so was he the kind of man that would be like rushing home in time to see something?
Yeah, especially like a bit of a do. Like he always got excited.
That's a UK comedy.
Yeah, with David Jason.
And Gwen Taylor.
Yeah, he'd always like get back for that. He looked so excited, and it's nice to see.
Didn't your mum say that he liked Birds of a Feather as well?
Birds of a Feather, yeah, Up and Lovers. He loved them all.
I wonder what he would have said when I told him that I've met the Birds of a Feather cast.
He would probably be jealous. He even loves the Golden Girls so much.
Yeah, because I met Linda Robson, Leslie Joseph, and Pauline Quirk. They were all lovely. Pauline Quirk's very shy.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't imagine given the character that she plays, eh?
Yeah, you wouldn't. But yeah, I just feel that back then I think he's worked so hard, for stuff. On another tell you a funny story. He was going to work. He used to go to Haymarket Station. He used to go there to get the train to West Calder.
By the way, I'm just going to put it out that this is the kind of podcast that you will get the stories from back in the day because we just absolutely adore them.
Yeah, basically he's walking once, right, and then unfortunately he falls in a manhole.
A manhole?
A manhole going down to Haymarket, I think it was. Yeah, randomly.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and another one. This is a little more hilarious. There's a place where Ali's Cave, I think it was, and it was that place down in Lothian Road, Tollcross.
Yeah, it's still there, I think.
Yeah, and there's
might be called something else, but it's still there.
Yeah, there's an advert going round to advertise in the 70s, right?
That's the kind of shop that just sells everything.
Yeah.
Like from hair gel to electrical equipment to clothes to
thermometers.
Yeah, cigarette paper, everything. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, he does that, right? We go around the advert, right? And my great nana, my great grand uncle, and mum and his uncle are watching this advert, and all they see is my great grand and papa. He's called. Where he's sticking his nose up round at the shop, not at the shop because he smells a bad smell, and all they see him is doing that, and it's like
on the telly.
On the telly, it's like, oh my god, and like only him would do that and try and advertise a shop, but it's like you never get that anywhere else,
No.
And I think it's great. And I think and the fact he bought a guest house, with my nonna and that, it's like good on him just to buy invention and do something different. I don't.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that about your great granddad, Jay. That was really nice. And if you really like stories from back in the day, dear listener, write in, send us a telegram. Do you still get telegrams?
Yes, send us something from Morse code, even.
Morse.
Yep.
Morse code. Any of the youngsters remember that? Yeah. So now we want to talk about weirdos. Now I'm not talking about good weirdos because. Well, I would consider both of us good weirdos. I'm talking like weird, odd, strange weirdos. And Jay wanted to share about some that comes into his work.
Oh, there are a lot. You get people.
I mean, I understand that some people have, addictions, learning difficulties and things. That's understandable, but I'll leave you to explain.
Well, basically, last week or the week before, we had someone who apparently.
Because Jay works in retail.
Yeah, apparently.
Apparently, that's what his grand. Apparently,
someone tried to ate a bit of toothpaste and spat it out. Toothpaste.
Why would you want to eat toothpaste?
Apparently, he didn't like the taste.
But well, I'm not surprised. It's not meant for eating. It's meant for
I know.
For brushing.
Yeah, and then someone was sick, like puking sick, right?
They threw up.
Yeah, but they smell it, right? My colleague.
Hang on. Why would your colleague be smelling the sick?
Because they smell it, but didn't know it happened and smelled something.
Oh right, I thought you meant they were going up to it and like hovering above it and going.
No, nothing like that. No, and then what happened was apparently he shat himself down his leg at the same time. Luckily it didn't hit the floor, but I have been told a lot of people, like say there's one woman who peed herself. Didn't realise she was peeing herself on the shop floor. Had her shopping trolley.
Well, I mean, if she was incontinent, then she couldn't help that.
Of course, but I don't know what it was. I think she was just drunk.
I used to know someone that did that on purpose.
Yeah, and then
I no longer know her now. But I knew of her. I didn't know her personally.
But what happened was, she accidentally used the trolley, and the trolley spread the pee around the shop. On the wheels. And,
so it dragged it.
Yeah, it dragged it along. I've had people who have punched the window, tried
from
to punch
outside
my
to inside.
Inside, well, outside into inside. Then tried to punch my manager. I've had people right behind me trying to steal perfume,
From behind the counter.
behind the counter. Yeah, we've had people, we've had like teenagers trying to steal a whole belly basket of COVID tests. Like,
What's a belly basket?
so it's like a basket, like a wire basket, and you can put stuff in it. It doesn't have to be neat.
Oh,
And
is that like the displays you have in the middle of the
yeah,
floor or whatever?
basically, yeah. And then they had that, and they said, "My mum's got COVID," and and it's like,
Oh, so it's little Neds.
yeah, one of my colleagues had to be a barrier, and it's like,
Why? Why would you want to steal a load of COVID tests?
because they just think they can maybe get money off them. They're just doing it for fun.
It's for fun.
And then someone like
You know how they're kicking a ball? How old were they?
about 15, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
15. So now they're trying to act smart and hard.
Yeah,
Right.
and then an older guy, right, maybe about just a bit older than you, maybe, actually
Well,
stole
that's not old.
older. Then someone tried to steal two packs of bin bags.
Hang on, I'm just gonna get my pipe and slippers.
Oh yeah, no, they tried to steal bin bags, of all things.
Bin bags.
Yep, bin bags.
Were they some sort of couture designer? But
No, they
And you
were
use
they
bin
were they were
bags?
silk lined, obviously, because
See, of
it's
course, yeah, of
because where I
course.
work is very posh, right? But
yeah, no,
no, yeah, but no,
Yeah.
they try to steal that, and it's like then they steal like the L'Oreal men's, other products are available. They do try and steal that sort of stuff, and it's like, what's the point? I can
Yeah.
understand it if you're really poor and you need the stuff and you can't afford it, no one can help you. But
Yeah.
a lot of them are just doing it because of the fact they can, and they look outside the door to see if who's
I mean, I know you're not meant to judge things, but sometimes you just can't help, and you think they're just doing it for the hell of it.
Yeah,
For
and
the hell of it, yeah.
And I had this person, it was a mum, I think a mum and her mum, where her child just wanted to drink,
Yeah.
or a lolly, like, or a chocolate lolly, whatever it was, and it was like shouting like, put it down now, and like effing and blinding, saying like, like you're how horrible you are, and then
Don't know how to speak to their children
yeah, and
properly.
the mother, I think it was, had like wooden teeth, a few
Wooden
like
teeth.
wooden looking teeth.
I mean, we've not got perfect teeth, but yeah, God, wooden teeth.
Yeah, it looked like that, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
how that person's gonna grow up? Oh, not good anyway. That's what you get there. It's like, how could this happen in one shop?
Yeah.
It's like crazy, honestly crazy. I don't know how they live at night knowing that they're making us demented.
Well, when I worked in Sainsbury's, we had none of that.
Yeah, but you worked in a posh supermarket.
Well, it's only Sainsbury's, but it was in the middle of a poshish area.
Oh yeah.
But the posh people, they were some of the worst. Because we had. I remember this one guy, and I think he had a catering company, and he'd spent something like £1,000 on food, and it was like £500 worth of meat, and all the rest was just veg and just supplies for a kitchen. And then it came to payment time, and he paid in cash.
What?
Coins.
What?
He paid in coins.
You shouldn't have accepted it.
Well, we had it as legal tender.
Yeah, but you should no. But should be say you cannot pay that much in coins because it's not fair on you.
So we had to call Scary Linda.
Who-
That's what we called the supervisor. So she brought along, it was like this trolley thing, so she could take away the surplus cash. And yeah, he paid for that. And I was like, do you need any help packing? And he's like, no. Then halfway through, he changes his mind. He's like, pack it for me, will you? It's not that difficult.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think he had, no. He'd bought a CD. Remember those CDs?
Compact discs.
Yep. And of course, when you work in certain places, it has like this security case on it.
Yeah, and you've got to take it
I had
off.
to take it off, and he's like, "Oh, it can't be that bad. It must be simple. Just take it off. Hurry up."
Well, you don't. Do you work at Sainsbury's? Do you work? Do you know how it works? No. So stop
Honestly,
your complaining.
there is some, well, a few nice rich people,
Yeah,
but rich people, God, it's like they think they've got like a divine right to
Yeah.
treat you like they've just scraped you off the bottom of their
Well,
shoe.
I had someone at the airport, and like,
When you went to the airport.
yeah, he said bag. No, can I have a bag? This is bag, expecting a bag, and it's like, you do realise they're 5p for a small one because a lot of them didn't like a sandwich bag. Then I had this other guy.
Do you know, I'd be so tempted to say, yeah, pay it, bitch.
Yeah, and I had this other guy, right? Not like he was. I think he was foreign. I'll not say where he's from, but he wanted his receipt back because you can get tax back at the airport for your purchase, and it's a wee bit, but
Right.
the till wasn't working when I was on.
Every little
We don't use it. Yeah,
helps.
I know. We don't actually use that one very. We didn't use that one very much, and they couldn't get a receipt. And he waited for 45 minutes standing in the queue, not letting anyone past.
For the sake of how much money?
Couple of pound.
Oh.
And it's like, just effing go. I'm sorry the receipt didn't print out because of that.
Yeah, things happen.
Yeah. And then I think it was the same day when, I don't know if you remember, like maybe back in 2017, 2018, all the Visa cards went off.
No,
In
can't
Europe.
remember.
So basically, we had all these people coming. So we had all these lovely French people coming in, chatting to us in French.
Yeah.
I do not speak French. And
But I'll let the funky music do the talking.
yeah, téléphone à la police.
Oh, I can't speak French.
Téléphone à la police. Anyway.
Yeah, that was Goslow, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How can I remember that?
I don't know. And then we had to get these. Normally, you probably know you get vouchers for if your flight's delayed or later cancelled, right?
Yeah.
You can get cards as well.
I've only ever been on 2 flights because I'm a very sheltered life person.
Anyway.
Oh, you're skirting over that. Oh,
no,
okay.
You're not.
Okay,
I'm
okay, yeah.
not. I'm
All
just
right.
saying that they basically get cards now, like credit cards, debit cards. They are Visa. They don't. If you don't know, say it's £3 or £6, right, each card. They didn't know how much was on the card and they couldn't speak English, so my supervisor had to go around and try and work it out.
Right.
What's going on with the cards? In terms of Visa cards were down, so no one could pay with stuff for for 6 hours, and it's like, this is bellish because obviously because they're chatting to us like and they're trying to be friends with us. We don't speak French because it was Polish.
I mean, I'm sure they were perfectly nice.
They are nice. It's just they don't understand, and it's like the audacity. Then another really funny story. A certain rugby team came in one day, and I got
What
to
rugby team?
Should I say what they are?
Yeah.
The French rugby team came in.
Okay.
And then obviously they didn't speak. But anyway, then as for half an hour, I was on my break, and half an hour later, I got an article in the news saying apparently all got taken off the plane because for disorderly behaviour on the plane, and I just served them. Right. Served them right for not saying nice things to me and saying hello. Anyway, yeah, that's your karma.
Yeah, karma always comes to bite you in the arse.
I'm nice to most people when I serve them because I believe that being nice to someone is chatting to them. It could be the only person you talk to all day. Especially because I've in the last few years, just be nice to me as well because, I'm being nice to you.
And to anyone listening who's thinking about being rude to shopkeepers, shopkeepers or shop workers, shop assistants, don't. Just don't.
No, you know what?
As my mum always said, good manners cost nothing.
No, and you don't know what we go through in a day.
No, and you don't know what their life's like at home.
No, because you don't know that we've all the shit we have to get put through because we've got people that are so nasty and ruin demand so much, or they get annoyed with our products. Some people are like, "But we came here especially for it." Yeah, but it doesn't mean we have it in. You should have phoned or checked on the website. You can't expect to have it just because you're coming in for it, and you've got to be patient as well. Like, we're only human. We've got 2 hands.
Yeah.
I'm autistic, dyspraxic, so it takes a bit longer for me. So you've got to make sure that you're just being polite and making sure that it's...
Yeah, but
there.
A lot of people are just ableists.
They are, and a lot of them just feel it's there because it's them, they're the elite person, and they think because then they get served first and that. You get a lot of people...
It's like, I am here to be served, so service me.
Exactly. I had someone, last week, I had to say Q, didn't know what Q was, he just went in front. And a lot of say, no, you go around the back to the queue.
See, I've got a very suspicious and cynical mind, so I think, did they really not know the concept of a queue?
I don't know. I don't really know, to be honest, but it's annoying anyway. Really annoying.
Yeah, that's what... I can't stand people like that. I just can't stand people.
Certain people.
Yeah, I'm only joking. Yeah, I love people. Just as long as you're not a dick.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, you know who the nicest people are in the world? I think are the Swedish. Especially working at the airport, the Swedish, the Italians, the Spanish. I think they're the nicest people. It's actually...
Why?
Because they talk to you, they know about English, they actually genuinely want to, ask you questions. Because, and especially Americans as well. Americans actually asked me once, like, what is Melton Mulberry? Like, what's pork pie? And you get to explain, what?
It took me a second to remember, but I actually just thought, isn't that cheese?
No.
No, it's pork pies, isn't it?
Yeah.
For a second, I thought it was cheese.
No, you know that, and you get to pick stuff for the Scottish stuff, and it's nice, but yeah, it's the people in the other part of Britain are not very nice, I'll not mention, but because
Who? No, everyone wants the tea. Who is it?
just sometimes English, because I've been called a bell end. I've been called a bell end for not serving them alcohol after 10 o'clock, and things like that. And they're not very.
The English, they're gonna come up for you.
And some of the Scottish as well, because they get. You know what I find at the airport, which is really
Surely not
hilarious.
Scottish. Really?
You know what I find really
We're
hilarious
lovely
though
people.
at the airport, when you can't tell them, but when they come and say, "Oh, I missed my flight because they never showed it," and it's like you can tell they're rat arse, their K-lines are
Yeah.
pissed, and like
Okay, lad.
you just like eternally laugh because you know it's their fault.
Like you're desperate to make a smug face, but you
You
can't.
can't, and you eternally like, it's your fault. You missed your flight, not their fault. So haha, you have to pay an extra money for next flight.
Yeah.
And it's like it's funny when some other things funny go on at the airport. Like one of my old colleagues somewhere else actually worked at the airport, and they're doing a free till 12 shifts or something like that. And then the
3
airport
till 12. How many hours is that?
7 or 8, I don't know.
A long one then.
Yeah, and then they were going home, and then the airport got locked down.
Why?
And you know why? Because someone had come in for a flight, but guess where he worked?
Don't know.
In a metal factory.
Okay.
He never washed his hands. Went through security, and his hands, obviously the metal on it, went buzzed, and for 6 hours the airport was locked down. She couldn't
How
get
would
home.
that look? I don't understand.
Because
Am I?
metal would go through the detector. If you have metal, it could have been a bomb, or it could have been a
Yeah,
gun.
but how can you hide something on
the
your bare
dust,
hands?
it was metal dust from his work. He never washed his hand.
Oh.
Yeah, so he didn't do that. It was because the
Why,
airport.
shouldn't you be wearing gloves working with metal?
Yeah, but it probably.
Like I'm just thinking, if you have tiny fragments of metal on your bare hand, would that not get stuck in your skin?
Possibly, yeah. I don't know how it worked, but yeah, that's what happened. The airport was shut down for 6 hours.
I bet he was popular.
Yeah, I know, and it's like the audacity of that, because like
You're turning into Charlotte Dobre. The audacity.
Oh, sorry if you're listening, Charlotte. I apologize.
Charlotte will never listen to this, but we'll give her a mention here and in the show notes.
Yeah.
She's far too busy these days.
Yeah, I just want to give out a shout out to certain couple again, the Scarborough couple, just to make sure if they're doing all right, and hope
Our Alan and our Jamie.
Yeah, I hope Alan's all right when his little Jamie's away in little Norway doing his little job.
Mhm.
And I just want to know if there's any more videos coming out, Alan. That'd be much appreciated.
Thank you,
very
very glad. We did that in unison. I love that.
We did Nana Stay.
Live, laugh, love.
Nana Stays. Honestly,
Honestly, if you want to laugh, we'll leave their YouTube channel in the show notes. Go and watch their channel, subscribe to it, like the videos, comment. They're such a lovely couple, and they're so talented.
And they're called
Isolation Creations.
I found them in 2020.
Yeah, how did you find them?
So basically, as you don't know, I love looking at old like training videos, like American British training videos, like the really funny ones from the 90s, 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
And they had one.
Whereas I love watching old videos. Videos. I love watching old adverts from like the 80s, 90s.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
And this one was a parody of. Do you know? Probably American people know Joe Osco at the supermarket. It was a parody of like with the customers first, and the parody
customers
of that.
First.
Yeah, that's it. And basically, they had the character Sherrie Stump.
I love all that.
Yeah, and Sherrie Stump's obviously has Foster beer can earrings.
I love those earrings. They're such a nice touch.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
Sherry's lovely, and it's basically how not to do customer service, basically.
Yeah.
And but I always follow it though, because my customer service is always based on Sherrie Stump, because Sherrie Stump's the queen of customer service, and it's just so good. And always Mucky.
Gosh, I love.
Yeah, and Mucky Maureen as well, of course. But
Mucky Maureen on meats.
Yeah, and that's why I found them watching. I kept saying to you, come and watch them.
I know. Like, this happens all the time. Jay will say, come and watch this. I know you're really going to enjoy it, but it takes a long time to persuade me.
Yeah.
And so that happened with the likes of the Isolation Creations, the Golden Girls,
Still Game,
Hot in Cleveland, Still Game,
Frasier, Cheers.
I would, well, maybe not Cheers. I'm not that keen on Cheers, but
Good Night Sweetheart.
Good Night. I would never think of not watching that these days.
I've been served officially.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah, and then we watched. Then what happened was after that was I watched telling you what, and then I watched their license because it was called Gigglebox. It's like a parody of Gigglebox. They had like talk about TV shows.
Yeah.
Then I said come and watch, and he bought a calendar. Then it said, oh, the messages of calendar going to Edinburgh. So the next week you come and watch it.
Uh-huh.
He didn't like it so much because it wasn't. Cause I think it wasn't what like about it. Then the week I said, please watch another one. He watched another one. It was all about theatre etiquette, talking
Yeah.
about pot noodles and stuff like that. And people being funny and
How long ago
chicken
was that they?
last year it was, but yeah, and he started watching. And it was,
Maybe not 18 months ago.
yeah, it was, and then and it was like you started watching, and they were great. And then we've made like lots of good friends, like Nibbles and Bubbles, and
Yeah,
Royal
shout out
Daft,
to everyone.
and Tracy 30, and Richard Bobbin-Stuffer, and
Here she is.
here she is, and like and
Although I've not spoke to her
McFarlane's-
yet. I've not spoke to here she is yet.
No, and the McFarlane with their capicles.
And the Capicals.
Yeah, it's just a great community.
That's why we're always saying, find your tribe.
Yeah,
Honestly,
we
find your
found
tribe.
there because like honestly every week not every week they're on, it's like an hour, 2 hours of just fun. Like we were
Yeah, it's just sheer escapism and camp fun.
Yeah, do you know what the most random thing I've ever seen though?
And everyone's accepted as long as you're not a dick.
Yeah, you know what the most random thing I saw from them? The random thing, I don't know if you know the women Sue Pollard who played Peggy Orr on Sean Maggie Owens, that's an actress. Peggy Orr on Sean Heidi High.
Yeah.
It was her on Songs of Praise singing Day by Day a hymn to clowns in a church.
Only Sue Pollard would be singing a hymn to clowns in a church.
Day. And it's just random. The clowns are dancing like it's like. Yeah, and you have like Cilla playing, so there's like a Ghost of Cilla Black comes on, and they have like Cilla videos.
No one's quite worked out who she is yet.
No, it's really funny, like.
And it's not us. Honestly, it's not us.
No, it's not us. Like not. It's not us, kid. And it's like in all the Cilla video, the Cillograms. Like I would love a Cillogram, and they do it every week, and it's like
like if it's someone's birthday.
Yeah, it's just. And the videos they do are such top quality because like even the Argos picture had an Argos logo on the bag. The old art and
and I don't know if you've been listening, Alan and Jamie, but this is how much we appreciate your stuff. Like all the small details that you think no one else notices, we do. We notice everything, like the little Foster's earrings that Sherry Stump has. Like can you think of an example, Jay?
The Bog Report, so having like that old the music from the Bog Report, so having like the way,
and like when they did their Corey spoofs and things, like all the getting the name spelt correctly for the characters, getting the looks correct, getting the mannerisms, everything.
And Paul Shane, and then Alan doing his Paul Shane, is like the way he moves his head, like it's like that to me is craft,
Honestly, they need their own teleseries.
They do. Even
we should start a petition.
Jamie, you should have your own series called Morris. Morris the Postmaster. That would be brilliant.
Yeah, when it was in Coronation Street, yeah.
And Morris is like, oh, brilliant. Or Morris and Agneta's lover or something like that. Ex-lover. That would be funny.
Yeah, it would.
Oh no, they're brilliant. I mean, you need to laugh, especially help me through lockdown because they just were there in their videos every Sunday, and it was like something you could look forward to and forget about. You were stuck indoors, and
it's like a sense of community that you don't find anywhere else.
No, you don't, because they just, and it's like they're lovely, and they know people, and they talk about like how they met Brenda Cowling, and then they met and they all that sort of stuff. And it's like,
stories, stories, life stories. We love them.
And you get to be friends with all these different people, and it's like, it's just.
And like everyone just accepts people for who and what they are.
Yeah, and it's something we do together as a couple every Wednesday when they're on a Wednesday and Sunday. It's like it's something because we all have different tastes and stuff like that, and it's like, but that is something we really enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's just because
it's just filled with everything that we love.
Yeah.
Like stuff that was like from back in the day, back from ages ago.
Yeah, because like when TV wasn't all CGI and all heavily on effects.
It's when TV was written properly and directed properly, and it's not all like far-fetched storylines that you get nowadays.
Yeah, and the acting was everybody else part of it.
It was a bit wooden, like the wobbly sets, but we love all that.
Yeah, especially like in Love and Memory. Was it Love and Memory? That one before I heard.
I think it was. Yeah, the one where she's got the funeral place.
Yeah, you could tell that was quite bad.
Yeah, but you forgive all that because then it's so nostalgic.
Yeah, and you know what I love as well, like going on to like sitcoms. One of the scenes was in you probably heard of it. It's in Some Others Who Have 'Em. Richard Wilson, who played Dr. Thorpe and also Victor Meldrew, was sitting down in a seat, but the seat was still really so short. He was tall. Michelle Daughtry, who's the sister of the little girl in Mary Poppins, she was being Betty. She couldn't. You could see she was laughing because it was just so funny.
And you see them nearly corpsing.
Yeah, and it's like that.
It's like they're trying really hard not to corpse.
And it means it's so good. It's like with BB Newell for Lilith and Cheers. She's the same thing. You can see a scene with her trying to smirk, trying to bite her lip because she can't. And it's like that means they love what they do and it's funny. And that's what I love about people like that, because they do things like, I love actors, but I love more small actors, the character actors, the ones that are like
Yeah, like David Jason
David
and
Jason, Joan Sims, Tatty Jakes, that sort of thing. You know,
Ronnie Barker.
Ronnie Barker is my favourite comedian. You know what? When he just looks through his eyes, he's like, you just laugh. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be one look or just a comic genius.
Yeah, like Clarence is a genius show.
Oh,
That was his last.
I love that.
Like Auntie's Jet Beat, one part of the episode where he's blind, you see, so he has his glasses, but they don't work.
Yeah.
And he's trying to go off with Josie Hewson, who's like Jane Travers.
It's the China one.
The China one, have them lay. And he wants to plant, he was told to plant seeds, right? Well, unfortunately, he plants her Auntie's Jet Beads instead and has a packet of seeds on the mantelpiece.
Yeah.
And then he thinks he's cooking an egg, but it's actually the China one. And it's like, that's a China. It's just so funny. Like, he tries to do stuff and it never works because he can't see. And it's like, it's just brilliantly done. And he's such a brilliant actor as well as writer and comedian, that he can play these different parts and he knows how to do it properly. Because I watch.
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed to have this great aptitude for just stepping into
a role,
into a role that was all completely different.
Yeah.
And yeah, just running with it.
Think about it, like Arkwright and Fletcher are so different.
Yeah.
I love Arkwright better because like Arkwright is like
they even sound different, even though it's the same person.
And you can't really tell it's him because
no.
No. Even when he's like Ronnie Barker and it's Ronnie's, you can't tell. And I think Arkwright is just genius. Like, you know, the fact that he can do the stutter and know how to do the stutter properly at offending people and in the right moment, it just takes a lot of effort because you have to do it in the right word. Because if you do it too often or too little, it doesn't work. But he knows how to play it, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, and there was a story about Ronnie Barker when he was writing under one of his pseudonyms, Gerald Wiley,
yeah.
And it was only until the last minute that his comic partner Ronnie Corbett knew who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that story another time if you're interested.
Yeah.
So write in.
I know it's brilliant. No, I mean, honestly, in your life, if you don't have laughter, you don't have a favourite sitcom or show like that, or makes you funny, then you're not living. Because you can't.
Yeah, but in saying that, I know someone that laughs at horror films.
Who?
Well, I'm not going to say their name, but it's my best friend.
All right.
They laugh at horror films. That's their.
All right. Okay.
That's not my. I mean, me and him tried. He showed me a film. It was one of the Saw films, and I lasted all of 2 minutes and ran out of the room. I can't stand horror.
I can't watch that. I've watched it with the needles and like filling up needles. I don't
like that feeling of being frightened.
No, me neither. This is why we watch Our Being Served every day, because most days, because we've seen it so many times now.
It's timeless.
Yeah.
It's timeless.
And John Inman and
Mollie
Sugden are so funny. Like
you. I don't care what anyone says. You will never ever be able to capture that magic again.
No,
never. I mean, Sherrie Hewson, when she did her part as playing Mollie in the reboot, it was all right, but
it's not Mollie.
It's not Mollie. No.
Do you remember that thing? A screenshot I took of the credits once, and the smile Mollie Sugden had.
Yeah.
And it's beaming because she was so proud of herself.
Yeah, and so she should be.
Yeah, and it's like, apparently our sons were on talking about her on the one show years ago. Apparently, she used to come to take us from school, and everyone used to say it's Mollie Sugden. She was so happy and proud of herself. And our sons were like, "My mum's Mrs Slocombe," and it's like, and they were so happy. And then Trevor Bannister, who played Mr Lucas, he used to come up to his wife and say, "Oh, you're gonna love this episode. It's so funny." Tell her about And that to me is like he knows that he takes pride in what he did, and I'm like, you don't get that anymore. And it's like,
no.
To me, right?
Is there any comedies nowadays?
Oh, they're all getting cancelled. I'll see. The problem is, unless you're in America,
that's another thing that we don't like. If you don't have the audience laughter track, we're not interested.
No, I mean, it's crazy. And as well, right, a lot of stuff is getting cancelled because they're not as funny because there's a lot of things have been done. You've not got the actors anymore who are capable of doing it because they're not.
They don't exist.
They don't train. They're not trained in it.
Or they're just not letting the right actors through.
Exactly, are writing stuff. Because what we need right now.
I mean, I was listening to Denise Welch's podcast. I listen to it quite often because I love Denise Welch, and she was saying that a lot of the times actors they don't even go physically to the audition. It's just all self tapes.
that's not.
You can't capture the essence of your personality or a character you're portraying
Yeah,
over video.
yeah, because I was watching a few days ago. It was Paul McGann's like audition for the Eighth Doctor in the Doctor Who movie in the 90s, and immediately he captured like what the Doctor is in his own way,
Hmm.
and he is brilliant. Like you could, it's terrifyingly haunting, great
Is that the one?
performance.
Is that the Doctor that was only on like the audio?
Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
audio in the movie. Yeah, he's one of my favourites. Right, and it's like there's things like that you don't get anymore.
No.
And I think, and you see, like, a lot of these sitcoms you probably heard of on ITV and that Channel 4 are really good because the actors are good.
It's, I mean, if it's not on Netflix, no one's interested these
No,
days.
and I
And
mean,
plus, we don't tend to watch telly because it's just too
yeah,
traumatizing.
all I watch is BritBox, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, that's all, and maybe,
So if you want to sponsor us, any of those,
yeah, I love it. Because BritBox to me, I got all classic Doctor Who. I may not be in
yeah.
surround sound. I get all the sort of sitcoms I watch. And obviously Disney Plus, I get the Golden Girls, I get Simpsons, I get all the stuff I like watching on that. It's brilliant because it says buying a certain in the air satellite service that it's going to charge £90 for it, or more. So it is worth it.
Oh, right. I had to think what you meant there. Right.
Yeah, I don't want to say the name because I don't want to get sued.
No, you wouldn't get sued. We're just not mentioning them because, well, they don't sponsor us and they're irrelevant.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but one of my favorite programs, like just to watch all the time, because not because like where it's made, but it's Still Game. I think Still
Oh.
Game is just that's another one that you couldn't watch before.
People have to know.
They have to know. And Edith, I'm Edith, and it's like
I'll do the pint of Guinness.
pint of Guinness,
Pint of Guinness.
and you know what's funny about Still Game, right? It could be anywhere in Scotland or anywhere.
Yeah, it could be.
And they could have these characters, and it's not far fetched. What they do is not really far fetched.
No. And like Jane McCarthy, I was watching a live Instagram that Jane McCarthy was doing with one of my online friends, Glamour Gran Ann. And she said, people love it so much because it's all about community.
Yeah.
And it, like you said, it could be your neighbour, your granddad, your uncle, your auntie.
Yeah. And you know what?
And they care for, the characters care for each other.
Do you want a funny story I found out about Still Game?
Mm-hmm.
When the Barton is where they film the interior shots for the River City, that lesser known like Scottish soap
opera, yeah.
Yeah, not as good as Take the High Road, obviously, but anyway, yeah, basically they were filming Still Game, and then Jane McCarthy was dressed in the Isa outfit, watching them like Isa, and they couldn't concentrate because it was like Isa watching them. I was like, and he felt annoyed in a good way because he was just distracting him. It was like, that's how much fun they have on that.
What's your favourite line from Still Game?
I think I have to know. I think I think when Isa falls in the mud. In cement, sorry.
I think what preceded that was just like, and Isa goes to. What was her character?
They were going to the pub.
No. I'm thinking of when she was in the stair landing, and she says, Winston. She was talking to Winston, and she said, "Look, Winston, cards on the table.
Yeah.
I'm a nosy bastard." Or when she's in one of the later on series when she meets like an old flame, and it's Craig Ferguson playing him, and like the character is very handsome and good looking, but he then takes off his wig and his teeth and his bodysuit that makes him look young, and then because his prosthetic stomach is hanging over his crotch, she goes to him, "Oh, what's the character's name? Is it Callum?"
Callum, yeah.
"Callum, where's your Wally?" He's like, it was bitten off by a dog or something.
A shark in a film.
Where's your Wally?
Yeah, I love Isaac. The one you were talking about before is basically Winston was making a garden for everyone up on the top
roof.
of the flat.
Yeah.
And didn't want any. It was for Jack and Victor not to know. And it's like she tried to.
"Come here, you slab of cabbage."
Aye. I love it. And my favourite episodes from now is the later series when they're in the care home, and because I've worked in a care home before, so I know what it's like. I wasn't like that, right? Basically, they're all there, and it's like they're getting treated like old biddies, but they're still there, right? Having their medicine, their tea and coffee, and they have a party, right? And in the party, then Naveed is sleeping there, and he's about to phone the police, but he takes a cabinet or chair or something from front of the window. Freedom! And it's like, this is so great. Liberating.
Yeah. Yeah, so if ever you're feeling down or depressed or anxious or bored, even, just watch something that brings you laughter. Honestly, it really does improve your mood, and it's what I like to start with every morning. Have my breakfast, watch some sort of comedy, or just something
Like
that'll make
like
me laugh.
Mavis Riley.
Hmm?
Mavis Riley. That's what you watch, Mavis Riley.
I don't really know.
Oh, Mavis, you bit pampot.
Derek!
Rita.
Oh, God. Honestly, we could talk for hours about these shows,
We
and
could.
I mean, if there's anything that we've touched upon within this podcast episode that you want us to
And it's
elaborate on,
resonated with you.
yeah, and just get in touch if there's something in particular you want us to talk about. And yeah, I think we will leave this podcast at that. Uh, yeah, so if you've enjoyed this podcast episode, don't forget to follow the pod, leave us a review on whatever platform you stream from, and we'll leave you with this week's nonsensical advice.
Before that, I want to say a sashes thank you to everyone in the City Cup again for listening, because
Yeah,
it blows my mind that one place.
yeah, we're so popular in Sid Cup, so
I know it.
thank you so much. Shout out to Sid Cup.
Again, and and a nonsensical advice would be, if you're taking a bath, don't bathe in vinegar. It'll take away all your spots and all your hard skin.
Any advice given here shouldn't be an alternative for sound medical advice. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We will see you same time, same place next week. We're really sorry that it's been a little bit late this week, but we've had such a hectic week, but we had to just get something out to you. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Arrivederci.